Oh, well, that image scared me as a kid. Anyway, Phineas and Ferb lost episode. Phineas and Ferb is the original cartoon on Disney Channel, created by Dean, Povenmire. I don't know how to pronounce his name. You know, the guy who used to work on SpongeBob and Family Guy, and Jeff Swampy Marsh. What isn't known about the series is that both creators widely hate how Disney monopolizes it and how the show's real concept goes beyond just a children's cartoon. Secretly, an episode about Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz's real intention was produced by a good part of the staff who ran the risk of being fired without thinking twice. Even some of the original voice actors were involved. Okay. This episode was eventually by an anonymous user who loaded it on a little trendy cartoon forum. That day, my computer was doing an annoying noise like if it were on a whisk. My brother insisted to check it up, or the CPU was going to literally burn it. Anyway, I was browsing on the online forum. Oh my god. I can't read. And I'm sick. When I discovered a post about an unreleased episode of Phineas and Ferb. Curious, I clicked on the download link, of course, included by the poster. I had some time to download it before having to go visit my grandparents' house. Eventually, we got back at 1 o'clock a.m. As soon as I got home, I started the episode as I expected. My computer kept making that noise. I probably need to get checked or something on. Anyway, the episode was titled The Horrible Death of Phineas. Isn't Phineas like 10, 11 years old? Oh well. According to the summary, this is an alternate episode of where they're caught and sent to Smile Away Reform Harry School. Oh yeah, that was a messed up episode. The episode began as usual. Phineas and Ferb, having Isabella's troops help them to pimp up the car to make it fly. Also, Ferb was building an airport tower for the car. This time, a huge crowd is present to witness the completed masterpiece. Meanwhile, Harry the Platypus is called by Major Monogram to fight Doofenshmirtz. However, it doesn't sound funny or anything. Doesn't sound funny or anything. Monogram tells Harry that he must stop Doof, but doesn't explain why. Once he goes to stop Doofenshmirtz at his headquarters, the doctor explained that he's truly fed up with being treated like an imbecile and plans to kill anyone by detonating an atomic bomb. Jesus! Doofenshmirtz was like somewhat dark, but not like this dark. Jesus. Doofenshmirtz holding such a weapon, the gun itself was real. Oh my god. As it made holes in the lair's walls and ceiling. Harry's escape was followed with rather demented and cruel red-eyed Doofenshmirtz, who had an enraged expression on his face. I was completely shocked by overall depictions of him. Here says Doofenshmirtz had finally gone mad. But I hate this cold so much. Doofenshmirtz chased Perry during a short sequence as he is almost killed, but luckily managed to dodge the let me just relax right here. Anyway, the shots instead cuts to Phineas' backyard where Candace had dragged Linda think that's the bomb. The TV confirms reaction as every other episode does. Soon, oh my god. Soon Phineas walks towards his mom to show her the flying card. However, at the exact moment, Doofenshmirtz appears and notices Perry, who also was present. He opens fire, and Perry dodges the bullet. Slow motion sequence is played where Doofenshmirtz accidentally, where am I at? Accidentally shoots Phineas. Wow. When the bullet hits him, everything turns black as hide and seek by Imogen Heat plays. Okay. Phineas was now lying on the lawn with a puddle of his own blood drawn in the habitual Phineas and Ferb style. This video goes back to color. Oh god. Goes back to the color where Phineas is on the lawn and Stone's bright red puddle of blood. The crowd glares, horrified at Doofenshmirtz, and the scene was cut abruptly after showed Phineas laying over a puddle of his own blood, staring up the sky. It was here the act 1 ended. Oh god. Act 2 was the funeral. Everything seeming extremely depressing. The mortuary is mostly blackened. The stained glass windows which enlighten the room are depressing monochrome tone. Candace, Linda, Lawrence, and Ferb. Wait, isn't Lawrence the dad or Ferb's dad? He looks very foreign. The explorer troops were the voice actress was actually crying to make this scene. Candace, in extreme grief, regrets about this while furiously hitting Phineas' coffin, crying that this wouldn't have happened if she didn't try to catch them. Act 2 cuts. Act 3 being labeled 2 days later, in which Phineas' house is seen from the outside, but it's cloudy and gloomy. Candace is in her room, extremely stressed, with a rigid smile, hanging in the rope ceiling while humming the Beatles song, Yellow Submarine. Jeremy happily enters to the house. Wait, why is he being all happy? Didn't Candace told him the news or something? Through the backyard, goes to the kitchen after offering condolences to Linda. He asks for Candace. Linda happily tells him that she's upstairs. But when Jeremy entered her room, he saw the horror that Candace had hung herself and died a few minutes ago. Jeremy takes down the corpse and passionately kisses it. What the hell? However, Linda enters to see if everything's alright. After seeing this, screams, "Jeremy, how could you?" Thinking that Jerry choked her to death. Wait. Well, I more discuss of how, he passionately kissed the corpse. Oh my god, I hate this cold so much. After that, it cuts to a scene where both Phineas's parents, Herb, Isabella, Baljeet Buford, Doofenshmirtz's ex-wife, Charlie, I think that's her name, and his daughter, Vanessa, Major Monogram, Carl, and Perry are in the state prison with Dr. Doofenshmirtz strapped to an electric chair. I got hair on my tongue. All of them twisted in they have a 6 smile that appears unhealthy and sadistic joy. Doofenshmirtz begged for mercy, but Major Buttercup simply orders for scene swiftly its execution, and Perry, smiling in a sick and morbid way, switches on the chair. Right before his death, sequence of real photos appeared on screen. They depicted a real man wearing a lab coat and a little girl playing in a park. Although the actors didn't resemble Doofenshmirtz or his daughter Vanessa, they clearly represented them. After the last man he sees is Vanessa passionately kissing. Wait, Vanessa is kissing passionately with her mother. It was so. What? Incestuous lisbething that I almost puked on my keyboard. What the hell? What the hell is this freaking creepy pasta? How do we cut to Phineas dying, to Jeremy kissing Candace's corpse, to legit talking about Vanessa and her own freaking mother kissing in the most incestuous way? What the hell? Doofenshmirtz finally dies brutally electrocuted on a slow leafwood voltage to lengthen his suffering. At the end, Verb simply states ironies could rule, but not as much as hell. The episode oh my god, this stupid snot. The episode ends with Doofenshmirtz's lifeless body being examined by a doctor to see if he was still alive. Well, no, he wasn't. To which he was placed on a stretcher, covering up with a white blanket, carried out of the room by the two men. Then it cuts to the shot of Doofenshmirtz's body being thrown into a pile of decaying corpses. Alright. Along with Jeremy's fresh corpse. The next morning I looked for the episode again, but the user was banned and the file possibly no longer exists. This lost episode sucks. It's so bad. Like, what? Vanessa, wait, let me read that again. Although the actors did resemble Doofenshmirtz, or his daughter Vanessa, they clearly represented them. After the last pain he sees is Vanessa kisses passionately with her mother. What the hell? When did this went from Phineas died to Doofenshmirtz seeing his old daughter and wife kissing each other? Like, why? Why? Alright, well, I give this creepypasta a 0 out of 10. So bad. Alright, next one. So this next one is called The Loud House. Hey, The Loud House, enough is enough. Loud House was already a bad show. I never was interested in it, and so it's just trashy. And the fandom is nuts. Anyways, we're not going to talk about that. Have you ever heard of this show called The Loud House? No, duh. It's a series where a middle child, Lincoln Loud, has to survive in a family of 10 sisters. Yeah, that show. Well, what if I told you that I found an unreleased dark episode? Wow, what the hell? Well, anyway. It's a bit of a long story. I was surfing the web. The website of a salvage media known as Digital Fossils. Never heard about that. It was a website that carried strange lost pieces of media that were either phone calls, security footage, images, deleted scenes of movies, etc. I had interest for strange lost pieces of media, so I was curious to check out this website. The link were ordered as fossil, followed by an uppercase case words or short phrases and few numbers. These words or phrases were sometimes nonsensical or related to the website entirely. Sometimes they made sense, for example, fossil dog, 807 fossil help, don't want, okay. The entry website is the survey, for example, according to cat plate. Alright, not even gonna read this. I don't know how the website covered these pieces, but it almost had everything that could get its hands on. However, I stayed silent about that. I didn't work on the website or anything. However, I scrolled after. Alright, so she finds the lost episode, or he found the lost episode. I don't know. Wait, let me get my water. Alright. Anyway. It was rather interesting. It had from early that were randomized, but it had 11 after it. Guys being leaking wow, the same 11. Now 12 in the later season. Years old boy from the show I just talked about earlier. I clicked on the link and saw a description of the entry. The description said following. I really can't find a good posture to like chill and read. Anyway, this was the last episode of the leak of the Loud House, which is titled "Enough is Enough." Season, but scrapped after its production was done. Chris will be planning another season 3 final at the moment. However, this replacement reasonable. This episode was also being too disturbing and dark for the series. If you are a fan of the Loud House, we must tell you that there is no joke. Your description is advised. What is that? I was curious. I wonder why would this be? For a show that like the Loud House to have such an episode like this, so after I downloaded it, I started the episode. But the episode started the usual intro play. Nothing was wrong so far. However, at the end, nobody went to the couch to watch TV. Didn't act like they were they were there as well. So Lily's poo wasn't present. Wait, is Lily the baby? I think so. I don't know. I really haven't watched much of the Loud House. I imagine the sisters have the same letter. Anyway, wasn't there another thing that was wrong? Was the ending of the logo was tinted with the color pastel red, of course, instead of the orange. The website wasn't joking around. There was definitely something wrong with this episode. The title color had a black background with the white fog flowing across the left of it. With the center text saying, "Enough is enough." The bottom bubbles below showed who made the episode as well, which is the same as the first 2 seasons. The music was low, rumbly noise that was a little ambient. Something that you may hear in a horror game. So it began with the outside view of the house as as it sometimes did. The music was absent, like the beginning of Brawl in the Family. Cuts to Lincoln watching television instead of playing video game, like he usually does. He was chilly. Don't you hate just living with 10 sisters? Well, sometimes I do, he said. I was smiling. I saw his smile turned upside down. But on the rare occasion, I go a little too far. I wish that they would just leave me alone. But I can't hurt them. They're my siblings. I want to love them. The things they do are a little setback for me. Lincoln here sounded a little more serious than normal. Hey, bro, Lawan, or Lawn, I don't know how to say her name. She appeared next to the shot. Wait, is that the Joker one? Runny nose. My nose itches. What did the platypus? Oh my god, Perry the platypus nowadays. What did the platypus say before leaving the bar? Put it on my bill. Lincoln frowned as she laughed. Yes, Luan, pretty funny. Wait, that's not his voice. Yes, Luan, pretty funny. Do you want to smell my flower? I'm not falling for Luan's flower sprayed water on Lincoln's face before he could finish what he was saying. Okay, Luan, do you want some of my banana cream pie? Luan said before slamming it into Lincoln's face. Okay, I mean, yeah, that is pretty annoying, to be fair. I wonder why the description says this was too dark. Luan was making so many jokes. It made the episode a bit more stupid than for it to be graphic. Lincoln facepalmed in dissatisfaction. Stop, Luan, you're not funny. What do you call a boy who's completely blind? A flower boy. Okay, bro. Luan laughed for a bit, but one shot later Lincoln slid his hand off of his face, revealing his angry eyes. Enough is enough, Lincoln said ferociously as he grabbed Luan by his shoulders. Well, nice grip, bro. Your shoulder workout at the gym. Okay. She laughed at her jokes. Then sometime or something happened. It took me back to the shot of Lincoln, as if I felt like I was hit by a bus or a train. Just after Lynn laughed at her stupid joke, Lincoln slammed her head against the wall, bruising her and knocking her out. A low ambient tune played in the background. Lincoln gasped and stared at the crack in Luan's head, and then at her purple bruise and cautious body. He looked at his hands and feet. What have I done? I never done something like this before. He looked back at Luan, but this made me feel so alive for some reason. I never fought this good in a while. I just know what to do. Cuts black for 3 seconds. Transitioning to Lori, texting her on her phone, possibly to Bobby. Hey Lori, can you drive me to the comic store? Ugh, just do it for yourself or get Mom, Lincoln. Lori left the room, which I assumed was to go to the bathroom. Lincoln looked at her phone, which she left inside, glaring as she planned his next fight. About 1 shot later, Lori was seen walking in her room when Lincoln, let go of my phone right now! Lori was hit on the head on her phone. Oh no! Is that her? Broke with the shattering of glass. Lincoln walked over to her body and looked down on her. This is for smashing my VR console, teenage brat. It said with silent anger as it cuts to Lori's lifeless body. Her phone was shattered. Bits of glass scattered across her phone, being cut across some places. She was bleeding across her face on where she was cut. Oh. I was shocked to see the middle child go on such a killing spree like this. Why was this made? I thought to myself. It cuts to black yet again, and to change to a different scene taking place in the backyard. Hey, Lee kid, wanna wrestle? Sure, why not, lad? I'll bet I'll win this time. Isn't Lynn the sportsy girl, I think? I think so. I knew this was not going to be a wrestling match, but I kept on watching. You could just close your eyes and see where it would go. As Lincoln was wrestling with Lynn, he got behind her and shortly after cut to a close-up of Lynn's eyes. Come at me, bro! Lynn's anticipation was cut off when she not only widened her eyes but gagged. I knew something went wrong. The dark tune grew louder. Cut away from the close-up to show Lincoln choking her 14-year-old sister from behind. Not only that, but the animation quality changed in similar style to that King of the Hill. Wait, to that King of the Hill? Okay, whatever. It looked so shocking that it didn't look cartoony at all before. I watched as Lynn gripped her brother's hands to break free. It was useless for her to escape. It cuts to Lynn's point of view as she turned around face to face with Lincoln. This is what I felt like I was going to faint. Lincoln's face was menacing, cold, and possessed. At this point, his eyes bloodshot. His pupils were larger, and his skin was tan and a bit darker. Animation at this point went back to the normal style, but his face was slightly highly detailed, and Lincoln's pupils was the reflection of his choking sister Lynn. I watched in shock, but her vision went by her. I watched in shock as her vision went blurry, and her eyelids opened and closed. By the time she had her eyes shut, she was done. It was over, or the gloomy music stopped. The next shot was went to Lincoln sitting in the dark with Lynn's body next to him. A different low tune played. Lincoln looked at his sibling's body with a pleasured look on his face. After 30 seconds, he spoke. Sleep tight, Lynn, you're free. I got chills as he said those words. Lincoln had snapped, and he was no longer the man with a plan. He now was a corrupt soul. I wonder who's next for the axe. When the hell did he get an axe? He wondered to himself as he looked up with a planned smile. Thoughts came to him. The video suddenly turned black and white, and Lincoln pulled Lenny closer. I don't know who Lenny is. Closer to him with a pair of scissors in his hand. I glared at Lola. Lola with a bat in his hand. Lincoln pulled Lenny closer to him with a pair of scissors in his hand. Glared at Lola with a bat in his hand. I don't know who Lola and Lenny are. He was seeing especially Lola's guitar. Okay, so the guitarist on her face about to set Lucy on fire. I don't know who Lucy is. It cuts to black afterwards. A line of white uppercase text spelling. 1 week later, faded. It was clear that one week had passed. Wait, where are their parents? Why are they not seeing their son killing his sisters? Uh, it was nighttime again when the text and black screen faded out. Lincoln was staring at the bodies of his now dead sisters, which was under his bed. So how did their parents not see all their bodies under Lincoln's bed? Second of all, legit, how could they all fit underneath his bed? Like, seriously, what the hell? That doesn't make sense. Was staring at the bodies. Okay, to name a few. Her face, Lily choked on what I assume is a small toy, and Lola. Wait, Lily, hold. Lily's a baby. That is so messed up. Lily's a baby. Oh my god. That is messed up. Lola was cut in the face multiple times. I'm about to go and get rest of the details with the other sisters though. My job is done. All I need is one more. But who is it? He said, looking around. Yes, it must be me. There is something that I must do. Wiggins said as he looked down as it cuts to black for 10 seconds. Until seen hanging from the ceiling. His back turned against the camera. I felt bewildered. All of the loud siblings are dead, all because Lincoln is now in the build up to this moment. Lincoln had to kill himself in order to join his sisters. Okay, dude. Well, not all of his sisters. Just a silent 12 minutes long, so we got out of Lincoln's bed and panted heavily. It was a relief that she didn't die. Well, phew. Like I said way earlier, she was knocked out, not dead. I know. Her wounds were so present. She was a bit pale, a bit more blood had dripped on her face, but entirely she looked at Lincoln next to her and back at her sister, which was now a lifeless corpse. This is no joke, Lord said softly as she whispered her first mass murder. As she stood for the moment before leaping outside, possibly to tell us what happened. Afterwards, the camera panned down slowly to Lincoln's head, hanging body. Faded black indicated the end of the episode. Wait, so how come? Oh, okay. Alright, whatever. Credits had an eerie ambient tune in the background of the same white fog. Title background turned. From the title card, black background and moving left, but lasted a little longer as Chris stopped. The screen went black and echoed high tune right for about 12 seconds. Gave me the willies. Okay, whatever. After the episode was finally over, Chris got away from my head. Why was this made? What happened that led Chris Salvino, the creator of the show, to make this? This episode had something to have something to it, so I just knew it had to. I tried doing some research on the certain episode, but of course nothing was found on the specific episode. I went to bed after spending 25 minutes of useless research because no other website had anything of the episode. I still had some nightmares about this episode. Lincoln standing there with his cold, angry, bloodshot eyes and overly detailed face. He did nothing. He just watched me as I slept. Okay. I always turned on my lights after those nightmares happened. I didn't want him strangling me, slamming me against the wall, whatever he could do to end my life. I didn't go back to Digital Foss for a week because of that episode. That didn't mean that I was done with it though. I just hope that I would find some, or I would someday find some info about this episode, like who suggested the idea for this episode. However, here was the real question: how did they get away with making such an abysmal episode? I don't know, but this creepy pasta like lost episode sucks as well. It was just pure edge. It just character going on a mass rampage. However, it's a little bit not as bad as the Phineas and Ferb one. Literally, I'm not saying this is not. I'm not saying this is good though. Like this episode completely has a lot of flaws, but I mean, at least it didn't say the Loud House characters made incest stuff like most Loud House fanfic do. This is still edgy. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense. Like, how can Lincoln fit all his sister's dead body underneath his bed? Like, there are a bunch of Lincoln's comic books underneath his bed or something. And also, I wish we would cut to the scene where like police checking out all the shenanigans going on in Lincoln's room. But oh well. Oh well, this just sucks. Oh well, time for the last one. Alright, so this one's called Lies, but I've always thought this was called Liars. Oh well, it's called Lies. So, I was once a huge fan of Nickelodeon. I mean, specifically the show SpongeBob SquarePants. Like, of course, every one of us was, but you get the point. So we all know that Steven Hillenburg died in 2018. Yes, rest in peace. I was in tears, so in order of him, I decided to buy every SpongeBob DVD available. Luckily, they were half price, so I took the chance to get them all. I'm talking about every SpongeBob DVD, so I was on a jog to exercise, and then I found this random homeless guy. He was selling several SpongeBob DVDs that the SpongeBob team used to test their skills. I told him how much are they? You mean you asked him? And where did you get them? He said all of them cost $1 each. He got it after supposedly quitting Nickelodeon. I had never seen this guy before, but then he said he quit before the SpongeBob team even started producing the episode. So that sounded pretty fishy, but I gave him that buck anyways. So yeah, I went back to my house and put the DVD to my DVD player. That's needed. But anyways, the first thing I saw was the old Nickelodeon fish floating around. I was back in the memory lane, then I noticed something. The fish eyes were bloodshot. Bloodshot! And the fish itself was red. Red. What the hell is this low quality Photoshop? I thought to myself. So I guess that's the original and then the lies with the Nickelodeon fish. Also, why is there SpongeBob there? Anyways, I didn't care about it. I mean, anyone could paint fish red with Photoshop, I guess. The menu screen was just a stretched out image of a smiley SpongeBob with the title card SpongeLost.mp4. Clicked on it. The first thing I saw was the intro. It was fine, but the title card was rather weird. The background was gray. There was a red pentagram, of course, in the center. That title of the episode was called Lies. During the card, there was this on-story music that was playing in the background. After that, the episode began. SpongeBob was eating some Kelpo cereal. Is that what it is? Yeah, I think so. Well, Gary, I'm heading to work. See you later, Care Bear. After SpongeBob left the house and went off to work, he saw a highly detailed fish. Just right there on the, or just there like the one from the, or just right there like the one from when I turned on the DVD. So then SpongeBob just got disturbed and he had calmed himself down. He looked like he was having a panic attack. He reached out for his pockets and took some pills. Oh, anxiety pills. Scarfing them down as quick as he could. I started to notice that I was really covering the screen. Oh. But out of nowhere, a greenish liquor started coming out from his mouth and he began to cough and gasp for air. SpongeBob anxiously said from his wheezing and gasp, that wasn't supposed to happen, SpongeBob said. What, you took the wrong pills? So now, even more scared, SpongeBob screamed and ran as fast as he could to the Krusty Krab. When he walked in, there stupid cold. He walked in, there was a massive line of fish customers waiting to get the Krabby Patties. Then Mr. Krabs yells out, SpongeBob! The only fade off that was that it wasn't his normal voice. At the point, I was really intimidated by this episode. What was this episode trying to get at? SpongeBob, cook those patties! Customers are in a frenzy! SpongeBob ran into the kitchen as fast as possible. He made the Krabby Patties, Mr. Krabs walked in, and SpongeBob continuously swats him up and down, telling him to handle him. And well, this is where the episode goes entirely downhill. As the loop of SpongeBob Flippy Patties continued, a metal door started shaking a bit. There was more screams. I started to shake A in my seat. I heard these sounds before. Then SpongeBob just stopped cooking altogether and started staring into nothingness. The screams persisted. The rooms got darker. Uh-oh. The screams started to get louder and more unbearable. The kitchen caught on fire, and finally, it all broke off. SpongeBob stared at the viewer, soulless, 1,000-yard stare. He smiled, and that was when I noticed static leading up into the screen once again. People think I'm a good person, but that's all lies! SpongeBob yells, but his mouth didn't move. I noticed the static somewhat intensified. He said, I think I can show Mr. Krabs what I think of. It caught on to him making Krabby Patties, except this time he wasn't smiling. Instead, he just was staring blankly at nothing. And all of a sudden, he threw a Krabby Patty at Squidward, making him yelp in shock. And then grilling the patties, Squidward took it all back on his head and began to yell at SpongeBob for it. He wasn't listening to him though, as if he was downright ignoring him. SpongeBob then called Mr. Krabs for help with Squidward. Mr. Krabs came to SpongeBob. He asked what the problem was. SpongeBob smiled as he pointed to Squidward, who pointed to SpongeBob and said that how he was acting like a dumb barnacle for throwing stuff at him. And that's when the episode turned graphic. The art style had become rougher and sketchy looking. SpongeBob grabbed Mr. Krabs' head and used his bare hands to shove his hand onto the grill. Oh, the muffled sounds of screams, along with the loud hissing of the grill, wasn't pleasant sounding to say the least. SpongeBob then lifted Krabs' head up. Slowly, the scoop came Mr. Krabs' bones. It was horrifying. He twisted all of Mr. Krabs' limbs off, grabbing the crab's wrist and pushing it off socket with enough strength to break it. And after a while, Mr. Krabs began where am I at? Began gurgling in a low tone. SpongeBob said in a sweet child voice, "Oh, you're still alive! Oh, no. Fun for Ethan!" As he finally twisted Krabs' head, then he grabbed a pan and shoved it down on his throat. While he bashed Mr. Krabs' slightly burnt face until his face was cracked in half. 3 black rectangles covered Mr. Krabs' mutated body, censoring them. Well, it's a little too late now to censor because now we all just witnessed what the hell the sponge did. So anyway, and after a while, the episode resumed. The black rectangles faded. Of course, and SpongeBob started digging inside Krabs' body to find his heart. He ended up peeling it apart. Jesus! He held it up to his hands, admiring the crustacean's organs. SpongeBob opened his mouth and dropped the heart into it and ate it. Ew. SpongeBob finally jumping on his body while laughing maniacally. And finally, after all that, SpongeBob peeled off the rest of his flesh so he could see the remains of his internal organs. They weren't as detailed as the heart, but it was just unsightly to look at. He stomped on them until all the organs was a pool of liquid and specks of the insides. He finally stopped. SpongeBob started chuckling and soaked in a blue liquid, most likely Krabs' blood, that was splattered onto him. And then he realized he could kill another individual, which was Squidward. He went to Squidward, who was now hiding inside Krabs' office under his desk. Seeing how deranged SpongeBob was now, camera stayed on Squidward's terrified state as he shook in absolute my nose. In absolute fear. Wait. Okay. No, wait. Oh my god, I hate having a cold. It's so hard to legit read without me sneezing, coughing, or sniffling. Jesus. Anyways, as he looked in absolute fear, his teeth clattering, the office door opened, making Squidward's eyes widen and his pupils shriek so footsteps could be heard as Squidward's whimper ceased. "Squidward, you need to cover your mouth." SpongeBob, who was right next to Squidward under the desk, whispered, "Squidward, I know I'm annoying, but this will be the last time." Before Squidward could react, SpongeBob grabbed him by his neck, pinning him down to the ground by his waist. He grabbed his chest and ripped, but with ease he got up and began to kick his insides, splattering across the room and leaving behind a purple-y black substance. But somehow Squidward was still alive. "AUS, where's Squiddy?" Or his ink-covered teeth, with a look of anger, replied, Just kill me. SpongeBob looked at him with perplexity for a second before he temporarily snapped out of idleness and looked genuinely concerned for his neighbor. There was still a little bit of mortality inside of him. Fine, then I'll end it here and now. SpongeBob proceeded to stomp on Squidward instantly, killing him for the blunt force trauma. After that, SpongeBob walked up to a customer restaurant frozen in fear. He picked up crabs remain and showed them to that customer, turned his head SpongeBob turned his head to the side as he smiled. We've got a new item here, isn't it? The electric bowl, try it, SpongeBob cheered as he grabbed the back of the customer's head and smashed it to the remains. No witnesses, John said blankly. See immediately cut SpongeBob entering the gym. No, not Larry. Larry saw Larry protein milkshake. Thanks, SpongeBob. We fixed my spongy compadre. I don't know how Larry sounds. I literally can't remember the last time I've seen a Larry episode. Okay, he took off the lid and chugged it down. Bluish red liquid started to come out of each hole in his face. He tried to perform the Heimlich maneuver on himself, but he just coughed up more liquid. He was unable to get it out of it. SpongeBob, why did you? His pale body fell to the floor as he could finish his sentence. Oh, he started to have a seizure. It wasn't that fun putting in a bunch of your own ground up shell and that stuff. Well, at least I'm not a monster who steals every girlfriend they see. SpongeBob mumbled, frowning slightly. Jesus. Unsatisfied, he went to Sandy's tree. No! Sandy's tree dome. She was working on a brand new invention that looked like a wood chipper of some kind. With a large opening, SpongeBob entered the tree, some with what looked to be a bat behind his back. He silently walked up to Sandy, still working on a device. Once he got close enough to her, SpongeBob smacked the bat on Sandy's head, making a metallic sound, knocked her out cold. Once that happened, SpongeBob grabbed her by the neck and began to walk briskly to the gnome's exit. My eyes immediately widened, and what happened was, and what he was about to do. Once he got to the last door, he held Sandy like she was a battery ram as the door slowly opened. Once the door was halfway open, SpongeBob threw Sandy into the water without the suits. Without the suits? Do you mean without the helmet, though? Because Sandy needs her helmet in order for her to breathe. Sandy's eyes shot open, clenching her throat as she began to drown. As her eyes began to bulge out of her head, she turned to face SpongeBob. He was smiling widely at her drowning form. Yeah, I said that right. He waved as she felt like the last bits of oxygen escaped her lungs. Her body began to float for a bit and finally ascended from the surface. The sight made SpongeBob smile wider as his eyes were now devoid of soul. Couldn't she run back in? No. He only cared about one more target. Just one more, he giggled to himself. It cuts to SpongeBob knocking on Patrick's house with the same bat, now having a knife blade strapped to it. Patrick was inside, looking at his hands, scared because his fingers were gone. Okay. It was weird considering that he never cared about that in the actual show. Eventually, SpongeBob got impatient and began to kick his rock house. Once the rock lifted up, with Patrick on the floor. SpongeBob, stupid snot. Uh, anyway, so once the rock lifted up with Patrick on the floor, SpongeBob leaped on top of him, slammed the bat blade on his head, brutally slicing him. Patrick started gurgling, and soon a whistle came in, accompanied with the screen faded to darkness. Patrick attempted to call help, but nobody was there, and the outside looked emptier. It cut to Patrick Ferdinand still alive, covered in blood with his skull and some of the other bones exposed. He was partly unconscious with his face down covered in cuts and gashes. Jeez, how long is this story? SpongeBob panted as he briefly stopped slashing at his unconscious friend's face. Looking at what he's done, he slowly awakened, and I could tell that he couldn't remember anything. And I came to it, he started screaming like a feral animal, almost like the voice actor himself was being burned alive. He fell unconscious again. SpongeBob's energy came back to him. It began to slash and bash his friend's face more vigorously. Patrick woke up one more time and cried very quietly as he wheezed weakly in pain. With the strength he had left, SpongeBob looked at him. "Everyone will love me for this. They always do." A message came out that said, "Happiness leads to peace, but fear leads to its violence." The scene then cuts to SpongeBob's house. It showed the interior, which looked completely ransacked. There was also a pentagram on the wall, and it was the same thing. It was the same one in the. You could have just said it was the same one in the title card. Anyway, the next room had Gary in it. He survived. The room after that room showed a pixelated pile under a lamplight. I had a hard time distinguishing what it was, but it was most likely why none of the fish residents were around. SpongeBob was lying in bed with a knife in one hand and a face covered in blood. SpongeBob's eyes widened a bit. Remembering something. "Oh, wait! Those were wait. Oh, wait, those were hallucinogens. I bought them on accident instead of the pill I need from the drugstore. No wonder why." Well, I knew those were anxiety pills. Jesus. So is that why SpongeBob became a maniac? Okay. SpongeBob laughed before slowly realizing what he had done and realizing that he had killed. His eyes widened as his breath became more and more shaken. He was shattered by what he had just done. It cut to him standing on a cliff as he suddenly started to decompose, as he stared off into nothing. As he decomposed, a vomit-like liquid slowly pumped out of SpongeBob's corpse. Okay, it began to harden around his feet. In the end, he time-lapsed of SpongeBob decomposing as he stood there and his eyes remaining open as the eyelids crumpled away. His eyes became bloodshot after the veins. His yellow turned into a brownish red. Eventually, all that was left was still almost unidentified corpse of the sponge. Then it just saw SpongeBob, but with a creepy white smile. He shouted in an unnervingly happy voice, "Lies, lies, lies." The screen cut to black and white text appeared. Animation test 4/11/2002. Testing new animation software developed by unknown. This is not made for public viewing. Do not distribute. Notice. This is still pending review. Please do not expunge Episode test. This episode abruptly ended. Wait. So cuts to SpongeBob, then him being upside down, then Japanese text, fanmade title card, the last C, lies. What the hell? Okay then. Anyways, what a interesting one to end off. That was something. This has to be one of the most edgiest SpongeBob Lost episode ever. Like, I mean, now with evidence, it's understandable. Well, not understandable. It's like the story is understanding of why SpongeBob killed people because he took a different type of drugs, but still, it was pretty edgy to say the least. Just your typical Lost episode, creepypasta gore. So, and the hyper-realistic, well, not hyper-realistic blood, the bloodshot eyes and shit. Yeah, that's your typical Lost episode stuff. Well, it's been fun reading these free creepypasta Lost episodes. Maybe one day I'll try and do another one, another video based like on this concept. I don't know. I really got nothing to say. Uh, Sorry if it's sniffling or coughing a lot. I legit have a cold, so yeah. But I'll probably make uh a new like part 2 video of reading crappy lost episodes or creepy pastas in general. Uh, yeah.